Look, legal directories are probably not something that you think about very often, but you should. And here's why. Legal directories is a fantastic way of growing your law firm. Why? Tune into this episode where Jason Craver of Attorney at Law magazine, who is one of the foremost experts on legal directories, unpacks it and explains why it's so important and how to measure or how not to measure ROI on your investment in those legal directories. Enjoy the show. Hi there. I have a small but really meaningful favor to ask you. I watch at the stats on our YouTube channel and Spotify channel, wherever most people listen and watch our podcast. And I see that over 80% of everybody who listens to it regularly is not a subscriber. I'm asking you to subscribe to this channel. And the reason for that is my mission and the mission of my team is to help as many small law firm owners to learn how to transform their law firms into better businesses, and so they in turn enjoy better lives. When you hit subscribe button, you tell these platforms that this is content worth listening, worth viewing, and they in turn will show it to many other small law firm owners and hopefully help me fulfill our mission of helping them create a better business and enjoy better lives. So would you please do me this favor? It would mean the world to me, and hit the subscribe button. And my promise to you is that I will continue to work hard at creating good content with practical ideas that help you and your teams grow better law firms. Thank you. Welcome to the JLF podcast. I have an amazing guest with me today. Here's Jason Craver of Attorney at Law magazine and Telegenics Marketing. Jason, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sasha. I'm very excited to be here.
Jason looks super young, but he is kind of an industry veteran. He has been around for 10 years now doing digital marketing. And part of that journey for the last 6 years, you've been running the directory side of Attorney at Law magazine, right?
Correct. Yes, we launched our directory 6 years ago.
So you are the guy who I know who probably knows more about legal directories than anybody else in the space. I mean, your knowledge is second to none. I think it is such an important part of any law firm or lawyer digital strategy but yet most people do not understand it and they pour money here and it seems to not work and then they try this and they pull out. Let's talk about that. Like, explain how really legal directors work. And if you and I, and you're based in Phoenix, Arizona, if you and I decide to buy a law firm, what directors would we bet our money on and why?
Okay. So I think that's a lot to unfold since legal directories, I feel like the purpose can be for so many different aspects of what you could really utilize it for your firm. And that being said, a lot of attorneys look at legal directories to bring them obviously leads and get more cases right away. So that's obviously a good standpoint of what you should start on looking at a legal directory, but that's not necessarily the only benefits that directory can bring. And especially with how the search engines are changing, I don't think the leads up front is going to be what a lot of legal directories are marketing their service for. So I still think directories take really good ranks. A lot of them still have great existence for a lot of the location practice area terminology.
In
They
search
say that
engines.
we're talking about a Phoenix personal injury attorney.
Mm-hmm.
So those keywords are, I feel like, a lot of the ones that directories are targeting. However, the way search engines have changed, local is the emphasis. So it's making it harder and harder for legal directories to compete, which that really brings in, the other aspects of why you would utilize a directory. And that's, either to get good backlinks from the directory, to get your name out just in the search engines more, to
Get your
make you have more
website to rank higher. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to get your website to rank higher. Obviously, if they're linking directly back to your website, that's the number one key for a directory. So if you're looking into directories and they don't provide a do follow back link, it's kind of a question of, well, how much traffic can they give me to potentially get cases out of that? Because that's going to be their full benefit. But if they are giving that directory backlink, that's where it's going to benefit your SEO, as well as it's just going to help your reputation management get out there. So to show you as more of an expertise in your industry, the more directories you're on that say you're a top ranking attorney, the search engines are going to build more of that reputation knowing your name, to just get you to rank a lot higher when people are searching for you too. So
We definitely see that.
say that again.
We definitely see that in our business.
Yes. And the directories that I would join, I would always say, not to promote our directory over anything else, but our directory is good. But there's really, really good directories that have been there for, 25 years, 30 years, where, our directory's been there for 6 years. So we're still fighting to get a lot of our rankings with the big keywords.
Way to sell it. Way to sell it, Jason.
Yeah, but Justia, Super Lawyers, FindLaw, those are the three big ones that I see in the actual ranks that make actual traffic go to their attorneys. Obviously, everybody's heard about the Avvos out there. Avvo did get hit with some kind of, not necessarily penalties to their website, but they lost a lot of traffic that goes to their website. A few of the other major players have lost a lot of traffic. And not saying they're not good because they lost traffic, but it's just that's one of the aspects that they sold themselves on for, the last 20 years. One other key of directories that I've found interesting is the directories that make you, collect reviews on their system. So that's something always to look at, as well as, adding a directory sometimes can add some additional work too, because you have to get reviews on that directory. So that is just an interesting part of directories too. It's almost like another reputation management source that's out there that you do have to work on to get reviews to as well.
Yeah. There's another side benefit that we have found. So my company, we've been experimenting with AI search results for the last 6-8 months. Thousands of experiments conducted. When somebody is using ChatGPT or Google's Gemini or Perplexity, and they're actually looking for a law firm or for a lawyer using any one of those AI systems for search, there's a very high probability that if you rank in any of those top directories, your law firm will be found. And the opposite is also true. If you do not invest the money with those directories, there's a lower probability that, it doesn't mean that you will not be found, but there's just a lower probability that you will be found. ChatGPT in the last couple of months, and we're recording this mid-June 2025, so if you're watching this in 2028, all of this is obvious to you, but in June 2025, it's not obvious yet. But in the last 2 months, ChatGPT started showing sources of information, like where they're getting info, and you will see that some of the directories consistently show up in AI-generated search results. So it is becoming more and more important to be present in those directories. But Jason, as you mentioned, there will be relatively little direct attribution to you getting this case, to you getting this client, to you getting this lead, specifically from directory. The journey of your client is going to be more convoluted. You're not going to see it. So they found you through ChatGPT. How did they find you in ChatGPT?
Right.
It's because you showed up, because you were ranked in the directory.
Right. That is the key to it all. We've been doing a lot of experiments with the AI overviews as well. And yeah, at the end of the day, it's, if you type in, best attorney in this area to get into that AI overview, a lot of the AI overview is pulling from, this list, this list, yep, this list, and this list. So yeah, that is one of the thing, and I've seen a lot of legal marketing experts say it as well. It's going to be something that you almost have to do to compete in the AI world, at least the way it's set up now,
yep,
rather than something that you want to go do to hopefully be able to bring in, more cases that way. And the stronger AI overviews get, the more people are never even going to go into these search results. And that's the scary thing of being on the other end of it, of where you're trying to, get people to go into those organic search results. It'll be very interesting to see how AI overviews progress in that whole front.
Yeah, our take on this is that we're okay with prospects not going directly to those websites until they're ready to go there. It's
Right.
okay to lose that traffic because, and we have again thousands of experiments, our clients keep getting more business despite falling traffic to their website because great SEO usually equals great GEO, generative engine optimization, meaning you show up, your answers show up in AI generated results, and then people still end up going to your website when they're ready, and they still end up talking to you. So great SEO equals great GEO equals great business because you keep on getting more and more clients. It also goes to the point, I don't know who's coined the term search everywhere marketing,
Yep.
used or search everywhere optimization, but I think it's becoming more and more practical to be everywhere despite the cost, because the cost of not being everywhere is significantly higher. Your competitors get that business and you don't, which is a scary proposition if you think about it over a course of years and years and years. They're growing and you will be declining.
Yep. Yeah, I think reputation management's going to be the name of the game for the next few years, because it's getting your name more out there on other websites, writing really expert content behind that. It's going to be the best way to just build your name in that generative search. Um, yeah, I'm just very interested to see how it progresses, because obviously, what are your guys' thoughts on some of the generative AI search results pulling from sites like Reddit, where the source of the information isn't actually sourced. And we've seen that in a few of the searching industries that we go into, where it's like it's pulling this whoever's comment from Reddit as factual information and putting it in an AI overview. So it will be interesting if those sources keep getting cited, how much people will still rely on AI overviews as fact.
I see it similar to Google's journeys over the years, where they would try different things and they're like, oh, this doesn't work. And then they would stop ranking those websites and prioritize these websites because these websites had correct information and those websites were filled with bullshit. So
Yeah,
obviously you do not want to rely on a legal advice, quote unquote. I'm doing air quotes for those who are not watching this but listening to this. Legal advice from a Reddit user, Michael123, Arizona. Right? Like that's not legal advice, but some people will probably take it as advice. But I think again, as AI search engines, because they are search engines, a part of them are search engines, get better and better, they're going to stop this nonsense, because obviously that can hurt a lot of people, a
I
lot of
agree.
people. So I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to get better. Directories will be relied upon more and more. I love the fact that you brought up the reputation management, which is more than just getting reviews. It is a lot than
Yes.
more just, it's also being all the directories. It is about publishing your content across internet, because guess who is going to be prioritized in generative engine results? It's going to be those who are prominently placed across the internet, whose content is prominently placed across the internet. And again, it's very similar to SEO, search engine optimization, like search everywhere optimization, generative engine optimization. It's all about who's the best. What do other people say, whether they're the best or not. It's not just about what you say about yourself, it's what other people say. And it's like so many other factors. But to really uncomplicate it, I think we just have to look at it from a human standpoint, not digital standpoint, but human standpoint. Like, if internet didn't exist, who would you believe?
Right.
How would you decide to believe them? Like back in the day, you'd read newspapers, magazines, talk to your neighbors, your colleagues, your friends. You get that. Today, the source of information are just, there are millions of them, where in the past for you it would be like a dozen maybe. So you don't have to rely on your neighbors and your colleagues. You can just go to internet, ChatGPT or Google or any of that, and get more reliable information. With the exception of Reddit answers, do not rely on that shit. That
Right.
can lead you
Even
down the wrong path.
yeah, just make sure you know your source that you're believing that information from. That's going to be the key to, I think, the future. But also it's like, well, if regulated sources are regulating the sources, then there is going to always be that question of like, is that source 100% reliable?
Yeah.
So that's always the key too, is yeah, find that source and make sure you can find that in other places too that you find trustful as well before you find it as
Sure.
fact.
And that applies to like any expert opinion in any industry, be it legal, medical, or anything else. Like check the source. And by the way, one of my favorite books, it's a super thick book, huge. It's called The Principles by Ray Dalio. And one of the principles that really stuck in my memory, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but he was like, when you're not yourself expertly at solving a problem, you find three believable people, or three foremost experts in the field. You triangulate their opinions and remember that even foremost experts can be wrong.
Yep.
There was a great example there that I do not have 5 minutes right now to explain, but this is a multi-billionaire who found himself at a serious health scare where he hired three foremost authorities on that specific health issue, and all three of them were wrong. But he's like, but it doesn't mean that you should bypass like triangulating opinions of three believable people. So
yeah, that's a powerful statement right there. Because yeah, if everybody obviously practices what they're focused on and they think that's fact
yeah,
once they get super far into it. So, and that's even SEO. Like imagine if we said what was fact 5 years ago was still fact today. You wouldn't
certainly
be
not.
progressing many places
Certainly not. Things have
in the
definitely
search
changed.
engine. So yeah, that's where everybody's expertise, I feel like, should never be fact. Yeah, because you're always learning and you're always experimenting, especially in the medical world there.
100%. And as far as technologies go, I think that the rate of change is unprecedented now, but the rate of change is going to plateau. So at some point, this maddening speed of change that we've been seeing for the last couple of years, and for many people, it's been less than a couple of years. You and I just happen to be in an industry where the change is keenly felt. We don't just
Right.
see it, like we feel it. But at some point, it's going to slow down, and this will just become, well, I'm guessing this change is akin to yellow pages, like being in yellow page business in the early 90s and then mid 90s and then late 90s. And you're like, yeah, internet is here, but every household has at least one yellow pages. And then there were none.
And then there were none, and then everyone had a cell phone in their
And
hand.
everyone had a cell phone, and everyone had a laptop or desktop or something with access to internet, and things have changed. We're just seeing another change, but I think that this change it's not going to be quite as dramatic on the commercial side, meaning like when you need an attorney, you're still going to search in a similar way that you search now. So for example, like I've been using Google Voice, not Google Voice, the app, but I've been using like voice commands on Google for a few years.
Yep.
So to me, like searching on my phone using ChatGPT or Gemini or sitting on my desktop, it's very similar, right? So it's just like the technology has changed quite a bit, but human behavior is not going to change dramatically. We'll see if I still stand by my words in 5 years.
Yeah, I think the new generation is going to prove you wrong faster than you think. Because
So
that's where, like, even I feel like, because I'm 31, so that's where, we lived in the world where we did have cell phones in our hand the entire time. But I still live in a world where I think, I know how to search and I know how to search for certain keywords to get exactly what I want. Where we were just talking to someone who was 10 years younger than us, and, all she does is put everything in ChatGPT.
yeah,
Like it wasn't even a question. It was like we were talking for 30 minutes and she pulled out ChatGPT like 5 times within the conversation and asked him something. So it's interesting to see that, because like I live in a world where I'm like, no way people are going to be pulling out ChatGPT and asking them everything. but
Yeah.
they already are.
I'm
Like,
46 and I do a lot of that. But when I need a service provider, be it a lawyer, a healthcare provider, house cleaning, a moving company, any of that, nope. I go straight to Google. Why? It's a bigger freaking decision.
exactly.
I don't want to rely on Chat GPT that's going to tell me like go with one of these companies and here's why. I'm like, no, I want to look at this, and that. I do want to have a conversation. We're not having like chat agents yet that are making all of those decisions for us. And I'm a pioneer in some things. And for those of you who have not heard the term chat agents, it's basically you tell your phone that you're looking to move, which I am moving this Friday from north of Chicago to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Like in some time, we're going to be like, hey phone, or hey chat GPT, or hey Gemini, or whatever it's going to be called, right? Like I need to move my 4-bedroom house to another 4-bedroom house approximately 1,400 miles away. Plan this whole thing out for me and let me know how much it's going to cost me and what time they're going to show up. That in the near future could be the reality, but I think that future may be like 2, 3, 4, 5 years away. But when
I
we
agree.
think about like lawyers, that is a way bigger decision than hiring a moving company. Could be a matter of freedom or jail time. Could be a matter of good settlement or terrible settlement. Could be a matter of could be a matter I have custody of my kids. I don't have custody of my kids. Are you going to like rely on ChatGPT to like do the whole thing for you? Hire an attorney without you having a conversation? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so
Too big of
as
a
of now.
decision.
At least our
Unless,
minds aren't.
unless, unless, because of ChatGPT, our brains become so incredibly stupid, or not stupid, but lazy, where we really outsource all thinking to the machine, then it's just going to be tragic for the humankind.
Yeah, then we eventually get taken over in the long run, right?
By what? By other humans or by machines? Let's go there. What's your take on it?
By other humans that can control machines really, really well.
I think
I don't know if machines have the capacity as of now to take us over, but a few really, really smart humans that could run a lot of machines, I think, could really, really fast if we all let it.
sure. And regardless of what end of political spectrum you may be on right now, you know that there is a ton of disinformation from any political spectrum, right? So whoever controls that information, they're going to be in power. You know, I was born and raised in now company that collapsed over 30 years ago, Soviet Union. And when there was a revolution of 1917, 108 years ago, the revolutionaries, the communists, who messed up Russia for the next 100 years, when they took over, here's what they took over. They took over the telegraph. Telegraph was like the primary way of communicating, written communication between cities. They took over newspapers and they took over the railroad. That was all that it took to collapse the government.
That's
They just took over communications.
that's wild.
That's it. Newspapers, telegraph, railroad. And they didn't take over all of railroad. They just took over 2 hubs and 2 cities. Just like that.
That's wild.
So whoever controls information can do really evil shit.
Agreed on that. Yeah. Whoever controls the internet at the end of the day could control the world the way that it's set up right
Could control
now.
the world, because that 21-year-old, like how many times did she doubt what ChatGPT told her?
Never. And that's the
Never.
scary part.
Never.
They're treating it as fact. And
Treating
even
it as
AI
fact.
overviews, how many people treat Google AI overviews as fact? And
Yeah.
you're like, this is just them formatting their best response utilizing this source, and this source. We don't even know if they took those 3 sources and combined them properly.
Correct.
So, yeah, it's a
Correct.
scary world when you think of
Yeah. Now imagine
treating it
an
as fact.
adversary of a country purchases ChatGPT or Google or something like that, and they're like, we want to undermine the society from within, like how long would it take for them to do it? It's just brainwashing one generation, just one generation. There's an interesting story. In 1984, just coincided with that year, there was a former KGB agent, which was like a Russian equivalent of CIA and FBI, because they would do external work and internal work. So he defected, and he was here in the US, and he was interviewed on one of the mainstream channels, and he was asked about like what Soviet Union like planning and how they're executing, how are they working against the United States, and he is like, oh, it all started back in the 60s. We just had to indoctrinate a few of your college professors. He's like, the plan is always to make sure that we brainwash you enough to the point where your own people will not be able to tell what's good and what's evil. And that will destroy your society. We are recording this in the summer of 2025, where we're seeing a lot of that already happening in our country.
Yep.
Where we have part of a political system that says that evil is good, and they support evil because it earns them points with certain populists that vote. Where there are news channels that will say things like, mostly peaceful protests, and the city is on fire. And I'm like, pardon my French, the fuck is wrong with you? The city is on fire. What is peaceful about that? You're straight up lying, and you're telling my eyes and my brain not to believe what I'm seeing, but to believe what you're saying. It is 1984. The
scary
book.
World.
It's a very scary world. So ChatGPT, Google, never ever sell to any of our adversaries. That will kill the country. But going back to the world of legal marketing, I think it's in summary. This is a good question, by the way. Like, so imagine that you're in the state of Arizona. You and I decide to become investors, and we buy a good-sized law firm. What directories do we invest money into today, 2025, and why?
I would invest in Justia because they take great traffic with the backlink. And it's kind of like one of those ones that it's, if your competitor's in it as well, that you're trying to outrank. So to benefit that SEO on your front too, it's kind of like you almost have to do it to equal what they're doing. Super Lawyers and FindLaw, very good existence in the search engines as well. Obviously, Super Lawyers has their proprietary system. That's more of like an award system to get in. But once you're in, it's a really good system to stay in. From there, it's really finding directories that fit your use case. So, if you're trying to rank for a very specific location and practice area, research that location and practice area and see what other directories are ranking around there.
What pops up on page one up top?
Yeah, what pops up in the search engines. Yeah. Like we were talking about earlier, getting in the lists that are in the search engines to get into that generational side as well is a key to that. And then it's just figuring out what directories you could get that maybe your competitors can't get to, or not necessarily can't get or don't have. So that's where a lot of the, I think where, your guys' expertise comes in if your clients are there to see, what are their competition, how are they getting their juice, how are they getting their backlinks. If they don't have this directory and you can get in this directory for, less than a certain amount a month or a year, it's worth to do it so you can get that key that they don't have too.
Could you explain? Let's imagine that we have other shareholders who are not marketing people. They're simply investors. And you're like, listen, we're going to spend $10,000 a month on directories. you're not going to see direct ROI, or it's going to be, you're partially going to be able to attribute ROI to some of these directories, but the rest of it you're not going to be able to see. How would you justify that investment for them?
That's where, like, there's always a way to track directories. So there is a way to potentially track if there's ROI coming from them. Obviously, tracking all the links that are coming to it from that directory, seeing actually how they utilize your site. But the bigger key is like, that would be, almost like a year over year that you'd have to really analyze for the investor side of it. Cause you can't say like, yeah, we burn, $10,000 a month for the first year. Like if we compare it just off of that year, it would be hard to tell, I think, the difference. If we had a law firm that wasn't invested in any directories, and then the next year we invested in all the directories, and then the next year we weighted out the difference between those last 3 years, that I think is the biggest way to see the bigger impact of what that reputation management is going to drive for you. Because yeah, each individual directory might not bring that exact case for you. However, the reputation that being on all these directories, having all these awards brings for you on your actual firm side could be the game changer of that person who has that wrongful death case to utilize you, or, bring that one case in or 10 cases in that change the name of the game for your law firm that year. So that's what I would say to investors is it's definitely not a 3-month trackable status in any component. It's, hey, if we're going to make this investment, let's invest in it. Let's utilize what we can in those directories as much as possible. And then let's see it out of a year over year over year on what it did for us. And if it didn't do anything for us, then we can drop it. But we know eventually it will probably do something for you if it's not helping your own SEO or bringing the cases for you of themselves. The impact that it can have to your own SEO could be the entire worthwhile fact of it.
Agree with you wholeheartedly. It's really interesting. We definitely have some clients who come to us and they choose not to invest in marketing at all. And then they come back a year later and we compare them to their competitors who we looked at a year prior, and the competitors are ahead and they're a little more behind than they were a year before that. And then they still choose not to invest, and then they come back a year later. We have prospects like that today. For 2.5 years, they come back every 6 to 12 months, and we're looking at a bit more behind than you were 12 months ago or 6 months ago. Well, we should have done, but we'll reach out next week. We just need to talk it over internally. That paralysis by analysis. The truth of the matter is, you look at just about every successful law firm out there. They invest across directories. They invest in SEO. They invest in pay-per-click. Depending on the practice here, they may be investing into billboards. Some of them still invest into radio advertising. Some of them invest into branding, which is like local events, meeting up with people, doing charitable work in the community, so many different things. Can you measure ROI on a bus stop ad? No. Can you measure ROI on a bus rep? No. Can you, so many things that are not measurable? But then I met Mr. Lerner of Lerner and Roll so many times. Look, he has so many bus stop ads and so many bus reps and so many billboards. It's the same phone number. They can't track ROI on an individual billboard.
Right.
But about $300 million or so in revenue says that stuff works.
Growing up in Arizona, where Learn and Row is obviously very present my entire life.
Yeah.
Yes, I would say that's one of the jingles that, as a kid growing up watching TV, you will remember for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where it's really the brand investment over time and what it can do for your firm is unbelievable. 100%. Unbelievable. Especially if you were got in when they got in the early days when
1998,
they
I talked
could
to you.
invest
Yeah.
in the TV before it was even
Yeah.
TV, and then it was,
Yeah.
like
Well,
you said, every bus stop I could imagine growing up probably had a learner
yeah.
and row app on
Glenn
it.
told me he started in summer 98. He was not broke, but not doing well. And somebody just told him, get one billboard in the most visible spot in Vegas. And he did. And he's like, I signed something like 62 cases that month and I was hooked. So I don't know what their spend is today, but last I talked to him about that, I think it was something like $38 million a year, marketing and advertising. Start with one billboard. Your directories and SEO and pay-per-click and everything else, that's kind of like your equivalent of branding just being everywhere online
Right.
versus bus stops, bus wraps, billboards, radio, that's being everything in the physical world.
Right.
That's the difference. Invest in that stuff and one day you'll grow big. Don't invest in that stuff. You'll keep thinking like, how did they make it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always say find the one thing you can invest in that's going to be the biggest driver of leads, whatever your belief is on that as a firm owner, and utilize when that starts to pay off, investing in that search everywhere mindset where
100%.
it's, now that I have this source that's paying off,
Yeah.
how can I invest in
Yeah.
SEO,
Yeah.
in PPC,
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
kind of brand side of things in the local, whether that's billboards,
Yeah.
or just, I think hosting local events is
Also true.
one of the biggest keys for firm owners, to create that differentiator
With long-term ROI, not short-term ROI.
with
So,
very long-term ROI. Yeah, you can't host an event and then try to say how
you
much
never
did that
know.
event bring
You
us 3
never know.
months later.
You never know. Sometimes you'll land like the biggest case of your life right there and then, but more often than not, that is not how it's going to happen. So,
Yeah.
Jason,
More you'll meet that one person who potentially knows somebody who got really
also
injured
true.
a year later,
Yeah.
and then that's when it
To-
pays off big.
Totally. Man, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing the insights. Really appreciate it. If someone wanted to reach out to you and talk about directories, talk about Attorney at Law Magazine directory, which is a cool directory and so on. A lot of our clients advertise in that directory, so there's a little plug for you guys there. How would they connect with you? What's the best way?
Best way is LinkedIn.
Okay.
You could always email me at Jason at Attorney at Law Magazine. But yeah, hop on LinkedIn, shoot me a direct message, and I'm always, as long as you're not trying to sell me something right away, I will always answer my
I saw
LinkedIn
that post you
messages.
had on your LinkedIn where you were like everybody's trying to sell us leads. You don't even know what's a lead from me. That
Yeah,
was a
we
good
know
one.
the slap pitchers out there. I call them when they connect with you, and right away they say, "Buy my service." You're like, you didn't even say hi first.
Yeah. Man, thank you so much. Good luck. Jason is getting married next week. By the time you watch this episode or listen to this episode, he will be a happily married man. But congratulations on your upcoming wedding next week in Asheville, North Carolina.
Thank you very much, Sasha, and thank you for having me on the show today.
My pleasure. Take care.